Toyota has made a statement about new electric vehicles it intends to bring into the Australian market. In part, they said, Toyota Australia plans to launch at least 3 EVs in 3 years, starting with the BZ4X SUV later this year, with Australia likely to see more than 30 all-electric newcomers in 2023. Toyota's announcement is still seen as a cautious or even behind-the-times approach. Their statement does not mention plug-in hybrids nor any specific reference to heavy polluters such as large SUVs or utes. The company said electrified vehicles, including hybrid electric and other technologies, would account for more than half of its sales in 2025. Toyota is proud of its pioneering push in hybrid vehicles, starting with the Prius, and it is likely that their performance with electrification will be dominated by hybrids, at least in the short term. Several years ago, at the launch of a new Corolla model, which included a hybrid option, we spoke to Toyota Australia's Vice President of Sales, Marketing and Franchise Operations, Sean Hanley.
When we first brought Prius to market, it was all about the technology. It was about the early adopters, the intenders, the visionaries. So it took on a role as a technological leader for Toyota, albeit, of course, technology's moved, to 20-fold since then. But it was the start of the journey on hybrid. We then launched it through Camry. We've now launched it through Corolla again, but now we've broadened the Corolla hybrid range from 1 model to 3. We're going to launch RAV4 next year with a hybrid, and we've got a couple more thereafter we're going to launch with hybrid.
Their recent statement did say, however, that by 2030, Toyota globally planned to release 30 new EVs and lift EV sales to 3.5 million a year worldwide, investing 8 trillion yen, that's about 87 billion Australian dollars, in the shift to zero-carbon vehicles over that period. Transportation and traffic analyst Charles Komanoff released Taming New York City's e-delivery gridlock, a report commissioned by New York City Council that proposes charging package delivery vehicles, such as those operated by Amazon, UPS and FedEx, a per-minute charge for the time they occupy the city's most congested streets and curb spaces. The report estimates that travel delays caused by delivery trucks occupying road and curb space while delivering e-commerce parcels costs New Yorkers time worth more than $400 million annually. The proposed changes would be levied on the delivery vehicles carrying e-commerce parcels rather than on individual packages or specific customers or delivery destinations. Charges would vary by geographical area, by time of day and day of week, and by the vehicle's physical size. The release of the report coincides with Council's vote on the first round of bills in its package of legislation encouraging smart, safe and sustainable deliveries. The bills would create a pilot program for sustainable micro-distribution centres, codify new regulations about spaces for truck loading and unloading, and dramatically expand the amount of loading space dedicated to loading zones citywide. Eric Adams has been Mayor of New York City for a year. In his recent State of the City address, he said,
"We are also electrifying our city vehicle fleet. We're going to go even further, requiring for-hire vehicles to do the same. We are announcing today that Uber and Lyft will be required to have a zero-emission fleet by 2030. That's zero emission for over 100,000 vehicles in our streets."
While activists speak of the moral imperative for considering global climate change, which has the backing of the great majority of scientists who work in the area, some of the most compelling reasons for change in behaviour come from local policies. Local issues such as pollution in our cities, including the impact on the health of children, are realities that are easier to relate to rather than the complex scenarios of global weather. Making mandatory EVs a part of operating a taxi service is likely to change the dynamics of the current owner-driver arrangements and could hasten the development of autonomous vehicles in defined areas. And finally, Mazda has foreshadowed the launch of an upgraded Mazda 2, which they say has undergone an extensive refresh that redefines style in the segment. The light segment is the second smallest category for passenger cars in Australia and is for vehicles smaller than cars such as the Toyota Corolla and the Hyundai i30, but bigger than the compact category that is dominated by the Kia Picanto. Passenger cars on average are experiencing sales decline, but are still nearly 19% of the market, and last year 203,000 passenger cars were sold in Australia, ranging from the tiny Picanto to sports cars and people movers. While some car manufacturers such as Nissan and Ford have put nearly all their focus on SUVs and utes, others have not given up and are prepared to refresh the design of a model to create an opportunity to keep their cars in the public mind. Mazda is taking every opportunity to promote their refreshed model, which does not go on sale until June 2023, with deliveries beginning in July 2023. Most of the, quote, extensive refresh, unquote, is external colour and styling features that are applied to the same body structure as before. For example, they note that, quote, up front, the fascia has been adorned with a new black or body colour grille, while the addition of a sleeker bumper design creates a streamlined new look, unquote. There are some interior changes as well, especially for the top-spec models. Segment sales are typically driven by price, and for 2022, MG had nearly 40% of this category, and in second place was the unheralded Suzuki Baleno. And that has been the news.